This episode of the Patriots Postgame Show is presented by DraftKings.
This is the Patriots Postgame Show, presented by DraftKings.
First down, Moore.
Touchdown.
Dive to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
Join the conversation by calling into the show at 855-PATS-500 or email us at podcast@patriots.com.
Hand off to Stevenson. Runs it left, big hole across the 40. Cuts left at the 45. And steamrolls the defender there.
Live from our studio inside Gillette Stadium, this is the Patriots Postgame Show, presented by DraftKings.
Yes, it is, guys. Exciting final game of the preseason. We've got Evan, we've got Deuce, we've got Paul. I'm Claudia. 42-10 final. The home team won.
Down the drain.
Undefeated season down the drain. Giants, though, put up 30-plus in all three of their preseason games. As we knew, starters weren't out there for the Patriots. Some defensive guys, though, and on the O-line we were surprised, which we'll get into all that, the good, the bad, the injured. I guess, Paul, just first reaction, though, to that 42-10 final.
Yeah, they just didn't have the same kind of energy, I think, that we saw in the first two games, especially the first one. The Giants had a lot of that buzz on their sideline all night. I know the crew made a big deal of that, but it was apparent. It was pretty evident when you were watching. And we knew that they weren't going to have a lot of frontline guys, but I still was a little disappointed. Individually, I was looking for something from Ben Wooldridge. I don't think he played as well as he had in the previous two games. And then some guys that we talked about a lot in the pregame. I'm sure we're going to get into it. Mm-hmm. Some individuals like Jayvon Baker would be one. I think Jordan Polk was another one that you guys. Is this the end of the world? Of course not. But, some disappointing individual results, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. You kind of have to dig deep to find the meaningful good and bad performances rather than, piling on a guy who might not even be on the team in a couple of days. So, yeah, it was it was a little disappointing just to see it, but at the end, again, I feel like you're checking a box here and you're trying to get out of there healthy. And
certainly Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, I think, had that mindset in the second half. I think they ran the ball knowing, let's
hand it off.
Just get out of here.
Yeah, I have a tough time taking too many big takeaways from a game like this. It felt like outside of a few guys, Kyle Duggar, Keon White, a couple of the offensive linemen, Jared Wilson, Ben Brown, Real Peppers randomly playing a little bit in the first quarter after not getting a lot of practice reps over the last week. But besides those guys, I don't know how many players, and I say this with all due respect, are going to be here after 4 p.m. on Tuesday. So I have a tough time really putting anything there. But I would agree with Paul. My key was effort and finish. And I'm not trying to say that it didn't show effort, but the energy definitely was not there the same way that you saw in the first two preseason games. But again, how many of the guys that played tonight are really going to be on this roster in 4 days? I can't really say.
I mean, there's a lot of bad, which I know we'll get to, but shall we start with the good? I think we can find some good in there. I know Kyle Duggar was a name that we talked about a lot in the pre-show, and we're going to talk about him a lot here. 6 tackles, second most interception, 2 pass deflections. I think he started off a little shaky, but then he seemed to get comfortable out there.
Yeah. I thought, anytime he's playing out there, it's the balance between, all right, well, is he doing enough against the players that he's playing against and, had that interception thrown to him. But otherwise, I thought he showed up pretty well. And it's just such a hard player to really consider getting rid of. It's quite a stretch. I think he'd really have to fall down the depth chart. And is there never a situation this year where, Jabril Peppers gets hurt or Jalen Hawkins or, he's clearly got some talent. So I think Kyle Duggar's done enough to stick around. I just don't know how much of a role he's going to have right out of the gate.
He was out there for a while. Was that weird?
He played a lot.
32 snaps.
He played a lot. There's no question about it. And I'm with Evan. I'm not taking away anything necessarily from the individual performance, but I would say a guy with his stature to have to play that much in this game would have easily gone through the motions, and I don't think he did. I give him credit. He's on my good list tonight for just the effort that he showed in the game. He can't be happy with the situation that's going on. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know why he's fallen so far out of favor. This can't be just about a scheme fit. There's got to be something more to this. But they have their reasons. I'm with Mike. If he's not one of your best 53 players, I'm not sure I know what I'm looking at. And I would make an argument that I can't put him any lower than second on the depth chart at safety. And I think that you could make an argument he's one. But they obviously don't see it that way, whether it's because of the contract or something else. But I thought just the fact that he kept playing tonight in a situation where I think some veterans would have shut it down, I think that's commendable.
Yeah, he was the best player on the field for the Patriots tonight, I would say. And I just thought that if you're looking for him to be in the right places in coverage, and if it's a scheme thing and it's a system thing and grasping the defense, he was in the right place all night long. I thought that he was on his P's and Q's, even though the interception was an overthrow that was kind of gifted to him. He's playing up top as the post safety and man-to-man, and he's right there with the vertical route and over-the-top coverage there. So I just thought, looking at some of the replays, even, that he's just playing deep safety, and he's there. He's on the spot for a handful of times. I thought he was physical near the line of scrimmage, but also as a deep defender, enforcing back there when there are guys catching the ball in front of him. He's laying the wood and putting guys into the ground. So I don't know what else he could have done.
So
he played
talk
his
a little
butt
bit
off
about the deep safety, because I think that's what we're talking about a little
Yeah.
bit when we say scheme change.
Right.
This is a little bit out of his comfort zone, right?
Well, I would say deep safety in general is not his strong suit of
Right.
his. The more space he plays in and the further away from the ball he is, his game tends to slip a little bit. But what I see from him with the deep safety stuff is that they're playing a lot more quarters or split safety looks, where he has just different assignments. Like, his eyes are going to be in different places, and he's keying, the different routes from the inside receivers. If this guy runs vertical, I carry. If he doesn't, I pass off, like that type of stuff. And I think there was some things early on that maybe he wasn't fully on board with in terms of the mental stuff. But tonight I thought he was in all the right places, and he played a lot of cover three, post safety cover three, and man post safety today. And I just thought that he did the job at a pretty high level. I know he's out there against backups, but to your point, Paul, he's definitely one of their best 53 players. And then he played his butt off tonight too. So I just don't really know what else you could look for him.
All right, so good. We can say officially
That's
Kyle
my
Duggar
only-
might be the
that's my
best.
only one.
He's on
Best of the
our
game.
good list.
Good job.
Mike, I'll give you
You want to
one.
burn off Jeremiah Webb real quick with
Okay,
that?
all right.
With
All right.
a nice punt return and
Yeah.
a touchdown catch.
Yeah, he had a solid 2-minute drill.
Him and Giles combined for 4 catches, 45 yards in that final drive of the first half. So
Yeah, I mean, they-
2 of your guys.
Yeah, they did only complete 10 passes, so we're looking a little bit grasping at straws here. But
Cherry
look,
picking, yeah.
for a kid, we weren't really talking too much about him going in. We were spending most of our time on Giles and Baker, and had a nice little night. Maybe it's enough to earn him a practice squad spot, some kind of developmental spot. They've got a lot of injuries right now at wide receiver. I don't know if Jayvon Baker's done enough, but kid shows up last game, maybe it warrants a second look.
Yeah, I had Webb on my good list as well.
I mean, does it concern you guys, though? One pass, and I know it was not the starters out there, but one pass completed, 4 yards with just under 5 to go in the second. And we didn't see a ton of passing in the first 2 games. I know at least for the first game for sure. That was a big issue. Travion was their best pass catcher deep into the second.
Yeah.
And this was an issue they had historically bad last year as well with their
Are you trying to take us
starters.
right into the bats? Because I think I'm ready to go.
I think we got covered there, unless you have more goods.
larger
but-
conversation, though, that to go on to the
Passing,
bats.
the passing game in general, yeah.
Yeah, and also just like backup quarterback. Like
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs didn't play tonight, but I don't think that Josh Dobbs has shown very well in the preseason either. And so it had a really rough joint practice with Minnesota. Kind of bounced back on the second day in Minnesota, to be fair to him. But I thought the first day, even Vrabel came out and said, like, can't make some of those throws. So I just look at backup quarterback in general, and I tend to say, like, if Drake May gets hurt and they're on their backup quarterback, the season is kind of in jeopardy anyways. It's not like you're really most teams aren't planning on winning very many games with their backup quarterback, but it's a spot. I was kind of hoping that Woolridge would show us something tonight and take that by storm. I don't think he really did with his performance outside of that 1-2 minute drive to end the first half. So I think it's a combination of wherever you want to go with it, guys, like passing offense or just backup quarterback, looking specifically at tonight.
Yeah, so just real quick, I tried to be as generous as I could with my good list. I mean, I thought they had some pass rush early in the game. I thought they made Jackson Dart move around a little bit. Now, unfortunately, when he moved around, he made some plays when he did it. But I thought Farms and Keon White a little bit, just flashed a little bit of pressure. And I also thought Marte Mapu was kind of active. He had a really nice pass breakup, knocking a ball loose on a early play. Not a whole lot else to hold your hat on tonight.
At least not the players that count.
No, I'm just going off of who played tonight.
Right.
But I didn't even with who played tonight. There were, I think Jeremiah Webb was probably the one guy who stood out. Then Mike, you mentioned him.
Nailed it.
One thing we all sort of hit on was just finishing this preseason clean, and luckily no injuries. But there was penalties, there was loose plays. That was the big thing that Vrabel vocalized coming out of that first half, and it was an issue. Is there something that you could really pinpoint, Deuce, when you looked at that, or just overall sort of sloppy?
Well, I think we've watched some bad offensive football here the last couple of years, and now you're seeing it with a third-string quarterback and a third-string line, and really the last 4 receivers standing right now. So, how much were we expecting of Ben Woldridge? I think like Evan said, he's had some good this summer, but clearly they were putting their backups up. They were kind of ready to pack things up, I think.
Except for the bulk of the first half, they had 2 guys that might be starting, in Ben Brown and Jared Wilson. As part of that line. Now, I agree with Mike. We've seen some bad offensive football in recent years, and we saw some of that tonight. We had, I think, Marcus Bryant lined up in the backfield on a play. That kind of just highly preventable mistakes. Those self-inflicted penalties that we really haven't seen much of during the summer. Some of those came tonight. I think they had an offside lining up in the neutral zone in the first half. So way too many penalties. Certainly the defense tonight was just not good, but I'm not going to get lost in that. Like Evan said, they've been playing a lot of quarter coverage during the course of the preseason and things like that. I think that's kind of basic looks that I think they'll spin the dial a little bit more than that in the regular season. So I don't want to fixate on that. But one of the things that I talked about in the pregame, I wanted to see the kicking situation. I'm a little disappointed they didn't go back and forth tonight. It was really just Borregales, and he had a chance from 49 and pushed it wide right. So I don't know. In my view, I think Romo's been the better guy. Going to be interesting to see who ends up winning that battle.
Yeah, it seemed a little like they were giving Borregales a chance tonight to go out there and own it, see how he bounced back from that miss. He did make the extra point, but it's going to be really interesting this week to see what they do with those guys, because on one hand, you feel like you can always kind of find a kicker, but Romo's been here for a while, so I don't really want to just toss him aside. He's probably won the battle, and it's really hard to say this is our draft pick. He hasn't been great, but we're just going to ride with him. You got to pick the best guy, and it's hard to say that it's been Borregales.
My guess is one of those guys the loser will end up on the practice squad.
Sure. Yeah.
More than likely. Assuming that they can get through waivers, but
are you assuming that's Borregales at this point?
I just don't know. It comes down to, do they want to cut the draft pick?
Yeah.
Right.
And I know that sounds, well, why wouldn't you just pick the best guy? Because sometimes teams are funny like that. They want to make sure they err on the side of protecting the guy they picked, not the guy that they inherited. So we'll see.
And to be fair, you would think that Borregales' ceiling is probably higher than Parker Romo's. Parker Romo's bounced around the league a little bit. They obviously saw something in Borregales to draft him. So you would probably like to think that he has a higher ceiling. So maybe you live with some of the growing pains as a rookie early on so that he maybe reaches that ceiling later on. But I kind of think Parker Romo's outkicked him.
Yeah.
It's not by much, but
it's been close, but I agree. Yeah. Slightly better.
Yeah.
I would give the slight edge to Romo.
A little bit more consistent.
Yeah. I would fire one up on the bads here, and I don't mean it to be a bad as much as I just call it the depth, because I think tonight what you saw was mostly leftovers from previous regimes or guys who, aren't quite their guys yet. And the hope is, as you get this program up and running and you get to year 2 and 3, that you have a lot of these solid depth guys that we're looking at these guys. I remember in the past where you're saying, man, that's a kid I like. I want him to make it. There aren't a lot of those guys out there tonight. And I'm not really faulting the coaches or anybody, just other than this is year 1 of a program, and you see on the third preseason game, that they don't really have a lot of the competitive depth that they're really going to need to build a program and have the depth to overcome all the injuries that are inevitably going to happen during the season.
Yeah, and this is what you saw the other teams that the Patriots played the first 2 weeks. This is what they played with personnel-wise, was their 2s and 3s and 4s.
Yeah.
And the Patriots largely played with that tonight, and you see that, you're competitively at a disadvantage when you do that. I agree, and one of those guys that I'll point out specifically is Cole Strange. A previous regime guy. I don't think he looks comfortable at center at all. I think the snaps have been an issue with him. I think there was at least one wild one tonight that Wooldridge had to sort of corral. He had a holding call on 1st and goal from inside the 2. That's a killer penalty.
Yeah.
That's just a killer penalty that's taken points off the board. They ended up having to settle for a field goal. It looked like he got beat with some speed on the inside on a couple of occasions tonight. So this is a guy who's been around now, what's his 4th year now?
Yeah, 2022 draft.
It's time.
You remember that one?
That's my question. How long do you keep him around, Evan?
So I'm just going to lump all of them together on the bads. City So, Cole Strange, Caden Wallace. All 3 of them, I thought, struggled tonight. Just multiple pressures, penalties, snaps, like Paul mentioned, run stuffs right in their gaps. I was hoping as a group, and I don't want to single any one of them out because I don't think that's necessarily fair, but as a group, I was hoping that they would get one playable offensive lineman out of all these guys that they've drafted over the last couple of years on the interior to come out of the draft the last 3-4 years with Strange in the 1st round, Sow in the 4th round, Layden Robinson in the 4th round, Caden Wallace in the 3rd round. Jake Andrews, who's no longer here, who somebody brought up to us, was that Paul? Paul's,
starting
in someplace else now. They have not been able to hit on any of these guys. And it's multiple coaching staffs, it's multiple line coaches, and they have not been able to develop any of those guys. So when you start talking about what Deuce is talking about, depth, like that's supposed to be the depth.
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily means that those guys need to start, but those are the guys that are supposed to be the top backups, and they just haven't been able to hit on any of those draft picks.
So the bigger picture, takeaway on a game like tonight, you start to think about your roster. Obviously, on Tuesday, you're going to be down to 53. And, the 3 of us are talking and, trying to figure out how many linemen you take. And you're like, well, could they take 10? And then, Evan's like, geez, can they get by with 8? Because
I don't know if
you're thinking to yourself,
Right.
do you really have 9 or 10 guys that are worth rostering right now? Again, these are decisions that are made well above our pay grades, but I think that the point is valid. I think some of those guys that you would have hoped would have at least emerged as quality insurance, quality backup depth, haven't.
Yeah.
Robinson, Wallace, and I began it with Strange. I don't really think that you feel great about any of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd carry that right over to the edge position after Landry and Chase on. It's kind of similar. Like you have Keon White. Is he the great fit? Is he going to really do what you need him to do? You don't really know. All of those guys still remain question marks. So, again, I think this is still part of just these aren't their guys. When we were back with a regime that had been here forever, that it is their guys. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But at least you know that everybody's been brought in to play in that system and fits supposedly what they want to do. So I think they can get to that point eventually. But it'd be a really interesting day on Tuesday to see maybe someone like Cole Strange. All right, we're going to close the book on that whole thing. Some of those pieces that are still hanging around, you don't quite know how they fit. We'll see. Their stories might come to an end on Tuesday, though.
I do want to touch on Jordan Polk. We'll head to break, and then I see our calls coming in. We see the emails. We will get to those. But Jordan Polk was a guy that you guys talked about, had a few penalties there. Evan, what'd you see from him?
Yeah, I thought we were hoping that he was going to kind of make a roster tonight or make the push finalize the push here. 2 penalties, both holds and coverage, playing out of the slot. Outside of that, I don't think he was very noticeable in a bad way, but probably not the performance that we were hoping to see out of him if he was really going to make a serious case to make the roster. So for him, though, I would say, it's also a numbers game. Like that's a deep position at corner on this team. It's one of the positions that they do have some solid depth at. So you're 4 or 5 guys deep before you get to Jordan Polk, and I don't know. Do they have to carry all 6 of those guys? Probably not. He's probably a practice squad guy, but
And I would throw
up and down.
I would throw Kobe Minor in that same kind of a bag tonight. A couple times, you only heard him once, but I thought he got beat deep at least 3 times where Jalen Hyatt ran by him. And Jalen Hyatt's a guy that's trying to make a roster. He's certainly not an established NFL player, so that should be a good matchup. Now he certainly has more experience than Minor, but he ran right by him 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Hyatt ran by everybody tonight.
No, that's what he does.
Now he didn't catch him.
I was going to say he could have caught a lot more balls if he just caught him.
And I do fully submit that that's what Jalen Hyatt does. He's a straight line speed guy. But
he is their taekwondo.
You're trying to make a roster. Now I will say that Minor I thought bounced back a little bit and made some plays also, and showed some physicality. Again, this is going to be one of those things. Do you want to keep your draft picks?
Right.
Right.
You Mike, you made a big deal, and I think you're right about the old regime guys as opposed to your guys.
Yeah.
I think that factors in.
Yeah, for sure.
5 passing touchdowns allowed, though. I know it's not the starters. A little concerning. Outgained 431 to 190.
Yeah, I'm just going to plug my ears on that one and be like, hey, I'll see you
And we
week
just
one.
move on, right? Week 1, we got the Raiders.
But joking aside, we're talking about the quarterback, and you see Tommy DeVito come in and look great. I mean, he's like their fourth
Jameis
stringer
Winston
now.
came in. His first pass was a touchdown pass.
I mean, is Tommy DeVito going to get cut? Can we grab him? I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Well, that's sort of
You can
why
always use Italians.
I started talking about the
Heck
backup
yeah.
quarterback position because their Giants had 2 or 3 guys that looked better than any of the Patriots backup quarterbacks, and I say that seriously.
Yeah.
And so it's just some of these teams, even like Cleveland, has 4 quarterbacks. They're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks most likely. So you just never know if one of these teams drops a quarterback, even if you sign a guy to the practice squad that maybe just to get a couple looks at him and on scout team over the next couple of weeks and see what he's got.
Any more good, bad, injured before we go to break, fellas?
No, I think I'm good. I don't think any injuries.
He seems to be like our punching bag all the time, but Jayvon Baker,
Yeah.
again, had some opportunities.
Yeah.
He's playing in a game that, probably he didn't want to be playing in because you would think as a second-year guy he'd be established, but he needed to play in it and really didn't make any plays.
Yeah.
I think Evan pointed out a missed block on a crack toss, right? Is that play?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Run TFL, OPI, blocking
and
downfield
offensive
on the
penalty
screen
as well. Yes.
And he has now caught 1 of 9 passes over the last 2 games in the preseason. Now his quarterbacks haven't done him any favors.
Yeah. Now,
I want to.
Well, he missed his first 6 targets last game.
the one he didn't catch tonight was by no means on him.
No.
That was a horrendous throw by Wooldridge. But the
numbers don't lie.
The numbers. I mean, we're giving Kyle Williams some slack with saying the numbers lie for him because he's been open and they just haven't gotten it to him.
Yeah.
But I mean, one catch and 9 targets. That's tough.
I think there was one training camp practice where in 7-on-7 he caught 3 straight touchdowns, something like that, and then went into 11s and had a couple more grabs, and that was the Jayvon Baker's coming on moment. And from there haven't really been contributions on offense. There's been some special team stuff that we highlight as
And he
well.
did
He's
some of
busting
that
his
tonight
butt on
again.
special
Yeah.
I was gonna
teams.
say that, yeah.
But that's not what's going to make Jayvon Baker special. Jayvon Baker needs to be a receiver who goes and makes athletic plays and gets open quick. And those things that we've been hoping for to see from him, his talents, they haven't really shown through in this new offense this summer. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him on Tuesday. But it's hard to really bang the desk for him. He had really one good day in camp, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe on special teams, maybe that's how he makes the team. I know there's been a lot to do about him pushing for more opportunities on special teams and making plays on special teams. So if you're going to be a 6th receiver on the roster, I guess that's the path. But Deuce has nailed it in terms of his production as a receiver. It just
hasn't been
It
there.
hasn't been there.
Maybe he needs a little bit more confidence. It's important to have when you're on the road with Bridgestone tires on your car, truck, SUV, or minivan. You're riding on tires you can trust. Bridgestone tires are engineered to give you peace of mind so you can focus on enjoying the journey. So whether you're on your morning commute, a cross-road country trip, or a relaxing Sunday drive, Bridgestone tires will be with you wherever life's road may lead. Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Available now at Sullivan Tire. We will get to your calls and your emails after this.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-In and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-In and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
We want to hear from you. So call the hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, back to the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings.
We are back, and it's time to take your calls. Sean in Vancouver, you've been waiting. What'd you think of the game?
Hey, I have a few questions. So one thing I want to know is about the players that weren't there. I know, like Efton Chisholm and Carl Williams were injured. Now, were they not there because of the injury, or just because they decided they were already set? Also, I'm very concerned about the depth that on the line, both offensive and defensive line scrimmage. Doesn't seem like a lot of players step forward tonight or for that. And the last thing I wanted to say, Nathan, if you're still listening, Polk, the receiver, was put on season-long IR, so he's not part of the 53 decision. So there you go. I'll take it up there. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Well, I don't think Polk has been officially moved to the 50.
No, but we also talked about that at length in the pregame show, did we not?
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Well, who's the first two names that he said?
So
he asked about Chisholm.
The guys that didn't play, they were
Chisholm
hurt.
traveled. He was there.
Chisholm and Williams were hurt.
Yeah,
that's why they didn't play.
I don't know if
Anthony Jennings was he hasn't practiced. That's why some of these guys that didn't dress were hurt.
Yeah, we didn't see Williams at all. Not sure. I mean, there were pictures of Chisholm traveling, so we knew he was on the trip. I don't think he's anything major, but we haven't seen or heard from Williams yet. So hard to tell, Sean. I don't know exactly. I think all those guys are that weren't practicing and hurt, that's probably why.
Yeah, but those guys, most of the guys that didn't play, it wasn't because like, that are dealing with injuries. It's not like they're set. Like they're dealing with injuries. Why are you going to play a guy who's hurt?
Yeah.
In the preseason. That doesn't, like, it wouldn't make much sense to me to have Kyle Williams and Efton Chisholm on the field tonight if they're not being able to practice during the week.
That's just what made Baker notable, because Baker had missed practice, and it seemed like he maybe knew that he needed to suit up to show something tonight.
I wonder with the Anthony Jennings. I know he had the injury, but Deuce has been harping about the edge depth, and I don't know what's going on with Keon White and this coach's staff's mind. He played 29 snaps in this game against Giants backups, and it didn't really look like, I didn't really think he was super noticeable. Like, he didn't dominate the game by any means.
He had a play here or there that I noticed him getting some penetration, but I agree with you, Ev. I didn't notice him stand out.
So, just with Anthony Jennings, if you're moving on from Anthony Jennings again because of one of these scheme fit types of things, there goes another player that can at least play in this league, and we can see
he's an NFL player.
Right, and so if you're still not sure about where Keon White fits, are you really releasing or trading Anthony Jennings and just taking away another layer of Deuce's depth there?
We've gotten a lot of these, and I'm just lumping a lot of players. I know they're not all the same position, but the Truman Jones and what's
Swinson, Ponder.
Elijah Ponder's another one. 45. What's 45?
Oh, yeah.
Linebacker.
Yeah, Monty Rice. Cam Riley.
Like, a lot of these guys we're hearing, this guy has a good shot to be on the roster. This guy's, what are the... which one of those guys is better than Anthony Jennings? You guys know, I've sat here and I've been on the other side of this telling you, I really don't see a ton from Anthony Jennings, but what I do see is a physical, edge-setting, run-stopping kind of an outside linebacker. There's some value in that.
Yeah.
What are these guys giving you that he can't?
What they got that I know got?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I heard you
I
say,
think
Paul.
your whole point, Mike, in the first segment about the previous regime's guys.
Yeah, and that's why you wonder if...
I don't think that's a way that you should be making all your roster
decisions. You hang on to some of those guys, but if injuries strike, then you might be forced out of your comfort zone in terms of your scheme or whatever that might be. I'll throw another name in there just that would be interesting to have in this conversation is Jelani Tavai. Another one of those holdover guys who kind of fit that old defense maybe a little bit better, but I still think he has some size and athleticism to play off the ball that gives him a little bit of a unique flavor with the group that they currently have. I wonder if him and Spillane, if that's a duo that they would put out there together, or if they really do have designs on Spillane Ellis. We want two smaller mobile linebackers back there. But what's going to happen for Jelani Tavai? I mean, he's out there 2 days for the summer and then had his calf injury. We haven't seen him again. I mean, we've seen him watching. I think we saw him in the background a couple times, but it's all those guys that could definitely play before, but a lot of them had bad years last year or were injured last year, so you're somewhat down on them and you don't know exactly what they are anymore. Like, what is Kyle Duggar? Is he the player that we thought he was going to be back in 21-22 when he was first coming on and we felt like he was on the upswing, or is he this player that got hurt and has kind of been on the downswing right now? Same thing, across the board for those former Belichick players. So we'll see what they have in mind. It's fascinating because on one hand, there's a case people out there could say, well, they don't really look like they want Kyle Duggar. They don't look like they really want Keon White. They don't look like they really, need Anthony Jennings. But at the same time, like we said, all those guys we know can kind of play. They got to figure it out.
And I'm fine with it if you feel like you can get value in it elsewhere. In other words, you can deal these guys, even for modest picks. But to just cut them, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. And I know Keon White's going to be on the team. The other two is who we're talking about, Duggar and Jennings. I would not be in favor of cutting either one of those guys. If you don't think that they fit, either find a way for them to fit or find a way to get something for them. I think they're too valuable to just cut.
Yeah.
Do you think after tonight, because we talked about Duggar being one of the goods, and I know this was a game people are saying didn't really matter, would a performance like that be enough for them actually to consider keeping him? Or It's more so just the whole preseason.
I would say this, though. I don't know if it's necessarily this performance, but it's the fact that he continues to get experience and he plays well and he's hung with it and he's shown some strides. It wasn't that he came in and crushed it in this game and our worries are solved. It's just maybe you're seeing signs of growth and that he's understanding what they want to do. And Paul's point, I think, is a big one, too. It's not pouting, everybody's talking about it. Everybody knows. Anybody who watches the games is well aware that he's not the same stature that he once was in this defense. So, I think he's got a spot, but I don't know if he's going to be, part of it right out of the gate. Like, he might need to continue to work at it before he actually breaks into a role on defense.
I just think there's a difference between these guys aren't long-term fits here because of scheme and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And moving on from them this summer, because I don't think they're prepared to move on from these guys yet. They haven't had enough time under Mike Vrabel to build up the depth of the roster to walk away from NFL players. Like they haven't. Like Kyle Duggar, Anthony Jennings, like these guys are NFL players that they might, you mentioned Tavai, like they might not fit in this exact defense. And maybe at some point when they draft their edge guys and their safeties and their linebackers, they can wipe the slate clean of all those Belichick picks. But right now, I don't know how you can walk away from those types of players. I think it's premature to walk away from players that can play in this league and have started games in this league and have played at starter level. So, if Tavai ends up having to play at linebacker or Jennings ends up having to play at edge rusher, you might need to tweak some things that you're doing to make it more, palpable for them to be good players. But to just walk away from those guys and you're going to throw Elijah Ponder or Truman Jones or one of those players out there because you don't want these guys. Right. And I'm not saying they're going to do that. I think I'm
not going to kill, as my boy Felger likes to say, I'm not going to kill them for something they haven't done yet. But that's what it seems like we're heading.
This is a next off season and beyond kind of problem. Eventually there might be a time where they have the safety depth that they look at Kyle Duggar and say he's not our type of player for whatever reasons that they have. I just don't know if you can do that right now.
So wait and see, isn't it?
Until Tuesday.
All right, Ted in San Diego. What's going on?
Oh, hey, everyone. Just an observation I wanted to make based upon tonight's game, but also the previous two games. And that's actually, I wanted to recognize Alexandra for actually voicing this opinion earlier tonight. And she's the first person I've actually heard make this point about the Patriots offense, is that this has been a very heavy, run-oriented, 5-yard pass offense all preseason. And I don't know how anybody can actually look at any of the wide receivers, and I'm going to leave out the slot guys, include specifically Chisholm, but whether it's Williams or Baker or Pop or anybody else they have wide, they don't go downfield. And if they do, maybe it's once a game. So I don't really know how anybody can look at this offense. Their offensive linemen, can they really pass block when they're going to throw the ball downfield? I don't think we know that based upon these preseason games because we haven't seen it. I observed even after the first game, I said to my brother, why are they running so much in the preseason? Can't we see what these guys can actually block? Can't we see if these receivers can actually get open downfield? And I honestly, I've seen all three games. Obviously, I'm living out here, so I don't see the practices, but I have no idea how you can look at these three games and be able to really gauge how good any of these players are. I'm not saying that they're necessarily bad, but this is the way that Josh runs his offense. And again, it's the preseason. You're not going to show the whole offense. I totally get it. And you don't want to get either too high or too low, again, preseason. But wouldn't you like to see a little bit of more of the offense going downfield and letting these linemen block a little bit? That's my observation. But I just want to recognize Alexander because I listen to you guys all the time, and I really haven't heard anybody make that specific point. Maybe you guys have. I just haven't heard it. But thanks for keeping. You guys have a great show, and I'll listen to your comments off the air. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Credit to Claudia.
That's Claudia.
Thanks. We do love Alex, though.
She's all right.
I'm going to channel Paul here for a second and just say, like, whether they do it in the preseason games or not does not matter to me one bit. Like, we see it at practice. Like, I'm not telling you that this is going to be, the 07 Patriots and they're going to be bombs away come week 1, but I think we see a lot more of what the caller is talking about in terms of getting a gauge for their downfield passing offense, the offensive line, and pass protection. And for better or worse, and we're going to say Felger's name again on the show, I guess. Felger has been on this anti-preseason rant about how bad the product is. For better or worse, the practices that Deuce and I saw in Minnesota, the Commanders joint practice, like those are the real takeaway type things from this time of year at this point in the NFL calendar.
And you thought pass protection looked good in practice?
Not good, but
so that's what I'm saying though. Like I know,
but there was more exposure to it. Like we saw more of it.
Right, but my concern is if we haven't seen Diggs out there really in a game time scenario, you're going to throw him out there. He's supposed to be pseudo number 1, I guess. The pass blocking hasn't really shown us that it could be great yet. We know we can run block. We know we can run the ball. Okay, great. But to his point, I mean, that's all we're doing. And we won the first 2 games doing it. I guess my point is it is a concern for me, because nobody's really standing out. Like we've talked about Pop Douglas a bunch of times, but he's not giving us explosive plays. Like I'm a little concerned about the passing game.
Absolutely a concern. I'm just not taking it because of the preseason.
Because of the
games.
preseason.
Yeah.
Now to the caller, like I'm not trying to look down on the caller at all, but he's not watching practice every day.
So let's actually tell him what you saw in practice.
That's all I'm
and
trying
I would
to
like
say.
to see them take. I mean, I thought they took some shots downfield in the first game. They certainly didn't really take any tonight at all with Wooldridge, and I didn't see the Minnesota one. But they tried to get Mac Hollins downfield a couple of times, I thought, in the first game. And it looked like there were some times where they were trying to run plays that were longer developing, and he didn't look like when Drake was in the game, I'm talking about. I don't care as much when the other guys are in, but it didn't look like Drake saw anything downfield. Now, maybe he's missing guys. Yeah. But, I mean, he did take some shots in the first game. Like, I thought the Giants tonight took a handful of shots downfield. I do like that in the preseasons. See if he can stretch the field a little bit and see how the protection holds up. But 2 things that the caller mentioned and Evan kind of mentioned. One, you're not necessarily going to show everything that you have. And I do hope, I talked about this on the pregame show on the Sports Hub before we started. I do have some hope that Josh McDaniels has sort of evolved and adjusted a little bit to just the preponderance of short passing game and the running game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can work it downfield a little bit. But Evan's right about the up and down nature of the protection in practice, as well. And in the difference between practices and games is he's not going to get hit in practice, the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterback can get hit in a game. So maybe that's why they haven't been as willing to do it.
No, I think it was a good it's a good call out because I felt, and granted I was just glancing over at the offense on the first day with the Vikings, but it seemed to me like
that was the whole theme.
They were like, we're pushing the ball down the field today because we really haven't done it at all. And it seemed like, I don't know if you agree with that, but I kept looking over and was like, wow, we've been complaining for a week about how they can't throw the ball down the field. And I was like, every time I look over the field, they're
but there were pass
taking their
protection
shots,
issues
taking
too.
their shots.
Like, I think Drake was really good.
Yeah.
I think Drake has had way more good practices than bad.
Yeah.
But
Just
what I don't know about is
inconsistent.
the consistent nature of the pass protection.
I understand what everyone's saying. Josh isn't changing the offense.
I don't think he is.
Like
I'm
still
still going to hope until I see it. I'm going to hope.
I'm saying it that I don't know for a fact.
Well,
but
pass rush isn't going to be easy week 1 against.
I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, and especially from the drop back passing game, it's the same offense. Like it's the same stuff, and I think the bigger concern that I have with it, it's not necessarily the lack of downfield passing. A lot of Josh's offense is reading coverage versus progression reads. So the quarterback is looking, and the receivers too. Is it man? Is it zone? Is it 2 high? Is it 1 high? And they're reading coverages, and that's where the ball is going. Whereas last year with Alex Van Pelt and some other offenses, their progression reads where it's literally is 1 open, 1's not open, on to 2. Is 2 open, 2's not open, on to 3. And it's a little bit more simplified in that respect. So last year he's been reading progressions all year long. This year he's coming in, and I'm talking about Drake, and now he's reading coverage. And it's just a different way to process defenses as a quarterback. So some of the things that I think you're seeing with Drake Maye holding the football, like the clips that Orlovsky was talking about and things like that, are him still trying to figure out how to process within this offense. So eventually I think that that's going to come along and they're going to get him where he needs to be. I don't know if that's going to happen right out of the gate. We'll see. But I don't have like the problems, I guess, with the offense itself that some other people do, because when it's I think the offense is a good offense, but I do think that there's maybe a learning curve going on in certain respects.
Okay. See what William in Philadelphia has to say.
That's Willem and Philum.
Willem and Philum.
Willem and Philum. Hey there.
Hello, Claudia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
He uses his
He
uses his late night voice. Game recognizes game, Willem.
Wow. Okay. I just want. Well,
it's late.
I'll say this first. Claudia, I know you're new to the show and whatnot, but I just want to vouch for the three gentlemen that you're around. They're really good guys, and they're gonna look out for you.
Oh yeah, they're a good crew. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So. Oh, my God, where do I begin with this team? Well, it would be good right about now. Now, whose idea was it not to get Joe Thuney? That would be pretty good right about now. The offensive line just worried me a little bit, you know? And Jalen Poe, I think he's another step closer to being another N'Keal Harry. It just seems some of the same pattern stuff over and over. That's all. That's all I got for y'all for tonight. That's it.
Thanks. Have a good
Thanks,
night.
William.
Take care
Thanks
now.
for being a good
What
sport.
happened to our guy?
He knew I was only teasing with him. I'm glad he took it that way. Joe Thuney.
What?
You know what this team could really use?
Joe Thuney?
No, just a solid veteran left guard to play next to your rookie left tackle.
Yeah, right.
It would make me feel. And I think Evan's been talking about Jared Wilson. I started talking about Jared Wilson in OTAs when he wasn't even playing. Just the profile of the athleticism. I think he's going to be a really good player. I'd feel a lot better if they didn't have to have two rookies starting next to each other right away, out of the chute. Now, based on what they have, that's what I'm hoping for. Because I think you're limited with Garrett Bradbury and Ben Brown. You know, I think there's upside with Wilson.
Yeah.
But they could really use a guy like Joe Thuney, who didn't cost that, was it, 4th-round pick?
Right,
didn't cost that much.
But he costs more in terms of the money. And I know that
I
don't
know, but they have the money.
They have money.
We know how this works. Like they have cap space, but like all I wanted them to do was sign like the Morgan Moses of left guards, right? Like just give me
a solid veteran.
Give me a bridge.
I'd feel a lot better.
Give me a bridge guy that can play the position for 2025, so that once they draft people and develop people who they might have gone after, right?
How's that for a name?
Yeah, exactly. Like just that. The Thuney of it all. I just kind of he's an $18 million player, right? So like now you're paying your two starting guards $40 million.
Yeah, but only for a year.
I know, but they weren't going to do it. Like it's just one of those things that just bugs me because I know they weren't going to do it. So like it's just
but you say that,
let it go.
And you're right. But why do we have to accept it? Why do we have to say they're right? Because they weren't going to do it, and we know they're not. I 100% agree with you, Evan. I 100%
we're harping
agree
on
with
something
you.
that was never going to happen.
But why is that okay?
It's not necessarily okay, but we just keep it.
So let's
keep bringing up the same.
Let's switch sports for a second and see if it's okay with you that Bill Chisholm has pulled the plug on the 25-26 Celtics season.
Don't do that.
You're not okay with that. You knew they were going to do it. Once Tatum got hurt, there was no chance.
Do you want me to?
I would like you to say I don't agree with them.
I don't agree with their approach at left guard. I don't necessarily need it. I didn't need it to be Joe Thuney.
No, it didn't have to be, but
you brought up Patrick McCarry.
That would have been
name.
But that would have been a really good option to me.
He's a great player. He's probably the best left guard in football.
Now, maybe if you wanted to make an argument to me, why didn't they do it? Maybe Kansas City wouldn't have wanted to trade him in the conference.
They didn't do it because of money. We can just say that.
No, but I'm saying maybe Kansas City wouldn't have wanted to trade him for a 4th-round pick to the Patriots in the conference. Maybe. I don't know.
You're being nice.
But I'm saying that they should want to do moves like that.
Yeah,
You're not
they should.
asking them to pay guards forever that amount of money. But for a year,
I hear
when you
you.
have a second-year quarterback and a rookie left tackle, it would have made some sense to me, and then you move on the next year.
I hear you, but I just
And I-
it's
when
a pet
Jared-
peeve of
when
mine
Jared
when we
Wilson's
keep
ready to-
bringing up
to
things
step
that
in.
weren't going to happen. Like it's just like I get it. Like they should, there's a million of these, right? A million examples where we do this and we bring people up and we bring players up that have gone on to have success other places that were never going to be here. So it's just it's annoying. Like George Pickens is the other one that they were never trading for George Pickens.
How about DK
They were never
Metcalf?
drafting George Pickens.
But how about DK
They were never
Metcalf?
trading for DK Metcalf.
Why? Why is that okay? Like Pickens, you can make an argument. Mike's been on this argument for 3 years.
What do
right?
you mean? You know why? Like this is
But
just
Metcalf is not that guy. Metcalf plays.
Metcalf is a boisterous person.
So what?
And I don't
What's
think
Stephon Diggs?
a cheaper version. Like we keep going on and on about players that they just weren't ever going to acquire, and that's fine. Like
I just don't understand why that's okay.
I'm not saying
Because
it's okay.
they decided
I'm just saying
they're
it's
not gonna
annoying. Like,
acquire
how many
him.
more
Saying
times we
it
have to
just
bring up Joe Tooney? It's been 6 months of talking about Joe Tooney. He's not walking through the door.
Like if he
He's
went
great
for a
player.
first-round pick, I'd say, well, I understand they're not in that spot. But for a fourth-round pick, I would have done it.
It's almost midnight.
I hear what you're saying. This one's interesting. Chris from Maine. If we're comparing Drake May to Josh Allen, I don't know who did that, but if we want to ascend to a top quarterback, if we want him to do that, McDaniel's system is exactly what will limit his ability to get to that level. Being safe with the ball, making good decisions is not where May needs to be in progression. Running the ball 40 times a game, running screens every other passing play is limiting him in his player development.
That's not what they're doing. Like, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's
it's
hear it,
getting
Evan.
late and I'm getting annoyed.
So
Like,
I'm going to get annoyed with Evan
Someone
here.
send
with, with you, not against you.
Yeah.
Relax.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just
Brian Dable in Buffalo
same off.
did exactly what you're talking about. I agree with Evan. They're not going to just run the ball 40 times every game.
Right.
They're going to be a game plan offense, and it's going to change from week to week and whatnot. But that's exactly what Josh Allen needed to develop, was to take the safe throws and protect the football and stop trying to make the play on every play. That's what got Josh Allen to where he is. Was Brian Dable beating the
Take
bad
the
plays out
Yeah.
of him?
Take the profit.
He would force it and it would get picked off.
That's
every time.
exactly
Yeah.
what Brian Dable did for Josh Allen. Now Allen is in a spot where he still does it occasionally. Like 2 years ago, he threw like 16 or 18 interceptions.
Yeah.
Right? Just 2 years ago.
I just
So he
like,
still does that a little bit.
I get it. Again, I'm not trying to take shots at the listeners, but you guys are only watching the preseason games. So when they go into a preseason game like this with Ben Woolridge at quarterback and they run a bunch of draws and screens, you think the whole offense is draws and screens, and it's different at practice. Like, I'm not saying I'm not saying that they're executing like the dynasty Patriots did on offense, but the play calls and the scripts are different. They're not running draws and screens every time.
I think you're right about that. But even if they were, being conservative with the passing game, I think your Josh Allen thing is off base. I think that's exactly how they beat the mistakes out of Josh Allen, was to tell him to stop playing Superman every play. And I think there's a little bit of that in Drake May that still needs to be beaten out of him. With the extending plays and exposing the football and some of the things that we've seen with the fumbles and whatnot, I think are very preventable. I think Evan's right. I don't think they're going to ask him to throw screen passes every play, but they're going to throw a lot of short stuff. There's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of shallow crosses. There's going to be a lot of, option routes, just beyond the sticks.
Yeah.
They're going to be asking guys to pick up first downs after the catch. Trevion Henderson's going to get a lot of targets. So I would be prepared for that, but it's not going to be exclusively that either.
Yeah, I get the concern, though. I mean, I think that's, you want to take full advantage of Drake May's skills, and that's what he is. I love that last year about him, not afraid to uncork one down the field. And, the caller who called in didn't really even mention Matt Collins, who that's kind of the guy that they like to push the ball down the field to, and we've seen plenty of that in practice. So, but That's the fun part about ending the preseason. Now we get to get game plans, and we can actually judge.
Claudia brought up
it.
Diggs a little while ago too. Like, do you think the offense, the passing game has been bad?
Yeah.
All 3 games, really, it hasn't been very effective. But do you think Diggs might help that a little bit?
And Hunter
It
Henry.
just stretches the
Played it all.
defense too. It's just another guy they have. I mean, you look at what he did with the Texans. There was so much talent on that offense, and he still got the ball.
I think he's going to be the engine, and that's I don't know if he's the same player that he once was, or that they'll use him the same way. But I think he still looks really good to me, And granted, I haven't seen a lot of great receivers in my time here working in person out on those practice fields. But to me, he looks like he still has it. And I think that he's going to be a big part of what they do. Same with Pop Douglas. I think he's going to be a big part of, this quick passing game, getting Drake into a rhythm and, then setting it up so he's able to push the ball down the field.
I will say, I don't know if it's just Boston radio, but they seem to hate on Steph Diggs every time. Like, he's washed, he's old, he's this, he's that. But is he really that much worse than when we last saw him? I understand he's coming off of injury, which is huge, and I'm curious how much you guys think that'll impact him. But like I said, I thought he looked good when he was in Houston.
I thought he looked good in a lot of the one-on-ones on the first day. And, again, this is all practice and stuff, but that's just what didn't jive for me. Like, I'm sitting in there and I look over at like these one-on-ones and 7-on-7s, and I'm like, Stephon Diggs is doing whatever he wants over there right now.
Right.
And then we kind of came out of it, and he's been really disappointing. And I was like, well, maybe if you look through it in 11-on-11 and we're keeping track of the stats and how many times does he pop up, sure. But just looking at him in a bubble, he still looks pretty good to me. Now, is he still at that level? How's Josh going to use him? What's that connection going to be like with Drake? It's looked pretty good to me so far, but we all know once the bullets start flying, anything's possible.
Yeah, he has these like stretches of practices or like a handful of reps where he's just like, all right, yeah, like I'm Stephon Diggs, I'm just gonna be the best player on the field. But then he'll like kind of disappear for a while, and I wonder if that's just kind of where he's at in his career. Like, I don't think that you need Stephon Diggs to take every 11-on-11 rep like he's the guy that's trying to make the team, like some of these other players are. So he has these periods, moments, whatever, where he just kind of turns it on, and you see what you need to see out of him, and then he's like, yeah, I just turned that corner around and caught that pass, and now I'm gonna go stand on the sidelines for a little while.
Yeah, I just love to see Kyle Williams get back out here and continue. Like, it seemed like he was starting to build something last week. He got concussed, unfortunately. We think but hopefully he's okay, because I see him as a real X factor. I think what you can expect from the other guys, but if he's able to bring an element of what we think we were kind of seeing of clearly getting open off the line, but also separating a little bit downfield. If they're able to put that element in to complement Diggs and Douglas and sprinkle in some Booty and a little bit of Mac Hollins,
I agree with you about getting him back out there, because I just haven't seen enough of him with Drake Maye.
Yeah.
And that's telling me one of two things. Either they don't think he's ready for that, or he's been a disappointment. And I want to see what it looks like. And I would say to a lesser extent the same with your boy, Chisholm. Can I see what it looks like when he's being covered by ones and playing with ones?
Yeah.
To see if he can be part of the offense.
How do you feel about their spots on the roster as of right now?
Oh, Kyle Williams is a lock.
Efton.
I would say Chisholm is, by all accounts, a lock too. I mean, I just don't know how many receivers they're going to take. I don't want to call him a lock until I know they're going to keep more than 5 receivers. But there are those 5 guys. I don't think is any chance that it's not going to be Diggs, Douglas, Booty, Williams, and Hollins. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't see
injury,
any scenario that those 5 guys aren't here. So to keep more than 5, Chisholm's got to make it. Right?
Yeah.
He's clearly 6
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle Williams is the X factor. Like, he's the best downfield receiver that they have. Even the times that he's flashed in practice, it's been on like go routes and beating press coverage on the outside on vertical routes.
He's been impressive.
Yeah, like those are the moments where he's at his best.
That's why I want to see more with Maye. Well, that seems like he gets a lot of work with Maye.
It's almost like the opposite of Jalen Polk last year, where it's like he hasn't gotten a lot of work, but like you still just think there's something there. Whereas like with Polk, I remember being like, "There's nothing there," but he keeps catching balls.
So I made that line to you guys, and Claudia. I was talking during the week on Patriots Unfiltered, and I just said if you were just looking at it, in a bubble, who had a better training camp? Jalen Polk last year or Kyle Williams this year, I think that 100 observers, 100 out of 100 would say Jalen Polk last year. Now, I think that Kyle Williams has been asked to do things that are much more difficult than Polk did last year. So I think that the degree of difficulty is much higher. He's been asked, like Evan said, he's got to get off the line and get downfield and make some plays, whereas Polk, I think, has run a lot, he ran 1 million shallow crosses last year. Now, he caught them all. He caught 1 million passes in training camp last year. That's why I would say Polk had the production.
Right.
I mean, I would say that he had a better camp last year than Williams has had this year. Now, that said, I'll take you guys. I argued with you guys last year. I just don't see it. There's a bunch of 5-yard catches. I'll take Williams any day and twice on
Even though he doesn't have the production
Even though the
just
production's
yet,
not
but
there. It's a projection.
The ceiling.
It's an eye test thing.
I see him getting open.
He's a more dynamic route runner. And I think when you put him, Kyle Williams, Pop, and Diggs, like that's the best trio of separators that they've had in years. If all three of them are playing at a high level. So I think that's exciting if Kyle Williams is as good as we hope he's going to be. But if you put all three of those guys together, now you have a group that really gets open. I don't know if you have a group of anybody that can win the ball down the field, and that's probably
I didn't
Matt
even
Collins.
think about it, but as you just said that, this is like 3 man beaters that they haven't had in years.
They have guys that can truly separate, and then you add Matt Collins into that mix as somebody with some size, and it's there's worse receiver rooms in the NFL, but it all depends on if Kyle Williams is that guy.
Right.
Ceiling could be high. We'll leave it there. Kevin in Burlington, what's going on?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to make 2 points and then ask you guys a question. I think the reason why you're seeing a lot of running and play action in the preseason games is because that's really the only time there's live tackling. During joint practices, it's not really live tackling, so you can't really get an idea of how well you're running the ball. And another point I wanted to make is, I think you might start seeing the McVay influence from Thomas Brown on like a game plan specific regular season case. Like if they're going against a defense that's really man coverage heavy, you might see, some of those McVay bunch formations to beat it. And then just finally, I had a question. What do you guys think? Are you concerned at all about having a first-time defensive coordinator calling the plays? Because is Vrabel really the defensive mastermind that can really make up for it? Because how was his Tennessee defenses after Dean Pease left after the first couple of years? Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin.
It's a lot of questions for midnight. I gotta rack my brain for it.
I don't know about enough about the defensive stuff. Whether Terrell Williams is qualified. I mean,
he's definitely qualified.
I mean, I don't know if I'm worried about him calling plays. I don't have enough information to answer that. I disagree about the running. You can tell plenty how you're running the ball in practice. You don't know how many yards you're getting because you don't know how many tackles you're breaking.
Yeah, but you know when it's blocked.
But you know when the ball gets the contact is happening at the line of scrimmage or when that contact is happening 5 yards downfield.
Yeah.
You know how well you're running the ball in practice.
Yeah. I'd say that's something I've kind of learned watching practices now like I have. I mean, being a fan, not watching that, and then you start to get a sense of it like, ooh, that would have been a run. That like you kind of like with the Patriot plays in passing
They
where you're
have
just
some
like,
physical
that
practices.
looks smooth, that
Some,
looked good,
Some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you can tell. They don't run the ball more in the preseason games for that reason. Let's just put it that way. Right. I do think there might be something to what the caller, a couple callers ago was talking about with the pass protection, and maybe that's because that might be something to that. That might be why they run the ball. Now tonight, I think they fell behind. They had all their backups in, and they just said, let's run the ball. They ran the ball in the halfway through the third quarter was 28-10, and they pretty much predominantly ran the ball to run the clock out.
I would say
definitely
this,
felt like
this
that.
is a good thing to point out, Ev, was the screen pass today. That's been a problem for this defense. Joint practices.
I think Evan tweeted it out in the middle of the game.
Evan tweeted it out.
Politely.
It's something they got to figure out. I really wonder with week 1 now and Ashton Genty and if anybody in the Raiders is paying attention to what's been going on with the Patriots, the screen game, it's been a problem. And
it's one of those times where they hopefully aren't watching our show or reading anything we're saying because kind of telling them what to do.
Pete Carroll's like, yeah, I was listening to that post-game show.
Yeah.
Talking about the screen. So we were like, hey, let's try it.
I mean, and
Said
Brock
it,
Bowers,
just imagine him,
I wonder if it's a function of the aggressiveness, but I've also seen cases where the backside end holds his ground and reads it and snuffs it out. It's just that's what, again, but when you start to get into guys who aren't quite maybe fits for the scheme at defensive end and aren't quite athletic enough to throw the brakes on and put their foot down and run the other way to break up the screen pass, that's where you start to have the depth issue. So now it's not just the scheme, but it's the depth and it's the guys that you're trying to have execute those things. So I'll be interested to see. They talk about versatility. Nobody wants to talk about the scheme. What does it look like in week one? I know what I've been watching them run throughout training camp and joint practices and some of the vanilla stuff they've been doing here in the preseason games. But how much twists are there when we do get to the regular season? And is there a plan to say, look, we cannot let Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers eat us alive with little screen passes and dump offs? Because that's what the teams have been doing to them this preseason and having success with it.
I think the point that you brought up about nobody wants to talk about the defensive scheme is so on point because, like, we had the assistant coaches available, defensive coaches earlier this week, and they would not say a thing about the defense that they're running. And that tells me that this defense is going to be kind of unique and it's going to kind of be its own thing, and they don't want to show any cards. And that's telling to me. Like, I to the callers, a question about, I don't know if it's concern. I think it's just unknown. Like, Terrell Williams has never called plays before at this level. He's more than experienced and more than due to be a defensive coordinator. I mean, he's been coaching football for forever. So that's not the question. But it sounds like Terrell Williams is sort of running the front seven, and then the safeties coach,
Scott Booker.
Midnight. Scott Booker is kind of running the secondary, and then they kind of come together and they put it together. And that can work. Like, that, there's no reason why that can't work. But the play calling is not, again, it's an unknown. Like, when it's third down and certain downs and distances on third down, is he a blitz play caller? Is he a coverage guy? Yeah. Are they going to spin the dial or are they going to be stagnant? Like, these different things are just things like nerds like me will chart and figure out.
Those are all great points that you guys made about the defense. Absolutely.
I would err on the side of aggression. I think that's usually the way they're going to go. Just
right, but is it aggression with a four-man rush, or is it creepers? Is it sims? Is it straight up blitzes?
I would just point to one, the one play on the first day when they were in the competitive last period, and it was they got him backed up, 3rd and 15. McCarthy broke the pocket, ran 4th and 5. This is the game on the line right here, and he sent the house. And McCarthy just kind of dropped back and just dumped a quick pass off to Jordan Addison for a first down. So, that was a small glimpse to me of some of the all-out blitz situations where, like, I just think they're going to be really aggressive, and sometimes it's going to pay off, but sometimes they're going to pay for it.
So I agree with Mike with the aggressive part, and I also would say when you have a guy like Gonzalez that allows you to do some different things that maybe some other teams can't. And we haven't had them all summer, so you haven't got a chance, even in practice, to see what that might look like in a situation like you just described. I think they're going to be pretty aggressive with those two corners, knowing they can lock up. Man, they're going to get beat. They're going to give up some of those plays, because everybody does. I don't care how good you are, you still give up plays and completions. But I'd be surprised if they didn't do it aggressively.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated to see it. Like, I think the caller said it as a concern. I'm not concerned. I just want to know. Like, what are you running? Yeah. And we'll see what they end up doing. But they weren't a big blitz defense in Tennessee. They were more of a four-man rush defense. But with the way that defenses are playing now, four-man rush, you can get to 4 in different ways. So how do you get to 4, I think, is a question. Are they blitzing somebody from the 2nd or 3rd level, but then they're dropping somebody off the line of scrimmage and trying to kind of create blitzes by doing that? Will be fun to watch and see the different ways that they get to 4, because I think the 4 is going to be different 4, down to down. So
Terrell Williams talked a little bit about that too. Like, I think they asked him about his pass rushers, and he says, well, there's a lot of ways to create pressure.
Yeah.
He talked about some of that stuff.
I mean, I don't want to get too deep into like the the nitty gritty of what they're running.
12-11, and we're getting nitty gritty.
Nitty gritty.
But I mean, like in general terms, and again, this is in the preseason, which could mean nothing. It's a lot of the cover 2 snaps that you have from last year are now cover 4 snaps, and you wonder if just part of the philosophy is going to be, we're gonna hang 4 back, and we're gonna send guys after you, and we're not gonna let you hit deep. And so if you get the ball out quick, we're gonna come up and tackle, but we're gonna force you to get the ball out quick. We're not gonna let you sit back in the pocket and beat us deep. But we'll see how it all comes together. I mean, it's definitely part of the game that's going to be most fascinating to me a couple weeks from Sunday.
Yeah, so they have been running a lot more quarters, and they've been running a lot of creepers, which is when you blitz a guy that you expect to drop into coverage, and then you're dropping a player that you expect to rush off the line of scrimmage, and it's a blitz. It creates the same idea as a blitz, but you're not sacrificing the numbers in coverage.
Yeah.
So instead of it being like a zone or a hot zone or a blitz zone, it's really still 7 in coverage and 4 in the rush. But you're just getting to it differently. This is very late at night to be talking about this.
You're
but
nerding out. I love it.
I'm trying to explain it the best way I can.
It's called filibustering, and you're doing great.
So
it's exactly how Mike and I had this drawn up.
Evan would take us home.
Yeah, they did text me that. Evan's going to take over the second half.
That reminds me of that cover 3 they ran last year. Talk about that one.
This is, the things that I legitimately do think about most of the time.
No, I love it.
So
I dabble, Evan. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking all those things up too. I mean, but yeah, it'll be fun to see. I just am excited for just a defense that's just be like, we're coming to get you.
Yeah.
Good luck. You're probably going to get us, but man, we are definitely going to get you too. So it'll be fun to watch. I hope. Except when they get caught and everybody's running that way, and then they go that way.
What are they being so aggressive
for? Two gap.
Durable. That is what we hope from our defense. Let's talk about Brunt. Speaking of durable, based right here in New England, Brunt Workwear makes work boots and apparel that are built for the job site. Their gear is comfortable, durable, and named after real workers in the trades that help design it. You can even try Brunt out on the job, and if it doesn't blow you away, they'll let you send it back. Save $10 on your first order at bruntworkwear.com/Pats or with coupon code PATS. And a reminder that the Patriots pregame show is sponsored by the Massachusetts 250 campaign, commemorating a history of possibility. Plan your revolutionary weekend at Massachusetts250.org. And I'll save the Bud Light for when we're feeling thirsty at the very end.
It's going to be easy to drink
the
tonight.
show.
That's for sure.
Billy and Rentham, I see you've been hanging on for see you hanging on here. How you doing? What'd you think of the game?
Hi.
Billy.
So we saw Marte Mapu play tonight, which means obviously he's on the bubble for the roster. If he doesn't make it as a linebacker, is there a chance that we might revert him back to safety?
No.
I like that answer.
Thanks, Billy.
No.
I think that this is his last chance. If he doesn't make it, they tried the safety thing. It didn't work out. Now they're letting him try linebacker. If he doesn't make it as a linebacker, I think that's another one of those guys that experiment is over with.
It's just hard with I feel now for the reliability aspect of some of these players like Jayvon Baker, Marte Mapu has been hurt a lot, and as a coaching staff, it's just it's the old availability is your best ability, being able to be out there, and it's hard to trust Mapu, and maybe he did show a little bit tonight. I mean, it's how much do you judge him quickly because he is kind of in a new position, a position that a lot of people have been banging the table for a while for him to play, but I still don't know if he's really a fit.
You think he makes it?
No.
I don't think so. I think the role for him was coverage linebacker, special teams ace, and I don't know if I thought he had some good coverage reps tonight. I'm interested to see how the film looks.
I thought he was reasonably active in the game. I do agree with Ev. I thought he showed up. I just look at it as, I don't know who they like, but I don't think they have any depth at linebacker. And I'm not willing to say he can't make it because it's Spillane, and then is it Jack Gibbons if it's that spot?
Ellis.
Yeah, Jack Gibbons.
And then it's Christian Ellis and Tavai on the other side.
Maybe.
I think Mapu's athleticism should be something that they should want to work with.
It's it's the same conversation we've been having at the top with the same guys that maybe quite haven't made the push or don't quite fit and aren't really their guys, but they're the only guys you got. So, and they do have some talent, so you might just have to bite the bullet, keep them around, and see how it all works out.
I talked about Kendrick Bourne probably starting on IR, something like that. I could see the same kind of situation for Tavai, who we really haven't seen since, day one?
Yeah,
day two?
Day 1 or 2, yeah.
He's been out there every day. We see him at practice every day, but he hasn't really practiced since July
Right.
24th.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, even in OTAs, not to read too much into it, but, like, to me, it appeared he was in that mix, being next to Spillane and, being a part of it. He wasn't an afterthought.
I thought he was the guy next to Spillane in the spring.
Which is where he belongs. Like, when he was that, I think they called it, like, the fixer or something like that. It was
Adjuster.
Adjuster. Playing next to Bentley. He's not, when he was playing Bentley's spot, he was exposed a little bit last year, but when he was able to play off of like a really good middle linebacker like Bentley or Spillane, he seemed more comfortable there, kind of being like the Robin and not the Batman.
Not making the calls.
Right. So maybe he can do that and still carve out a role for himself. It's one of those guys, like we were talking off the top of the show, that I think it's too premature to move on from all of these guys just because they're not in your vision 2 to 3 years from now. I don't think they have the depth to walk away from Jelani Tavai at this point.
Yeah. All right. Adrian in California.
Yo,
Adrian. I love you.
See what I did there?
Adrian? Are you there?
Adrian.
Adrian.
I don't think Adrian.
Adrian fell asleep. Actually, no, Callie, it's earlier over there. Are you here with us?
You can't win. No.
No?
Evidently not amused by our
That's sad.
nonsense. You have your game that you want to get to?
Adrian.
Don't you have a game?
Thank you, Paul. I was about to get to that. Look at you.
Play a game.
It's almost like I can see the
Alley-oop.
emails.
Yeah, stop creeping on my computer.
Paul loves games.
I do like
Curtis. A little agree or disagree game for you guys. We'll do a little. We got 10 minutes left. Kind of rapid fire. Diggs starts week 1.
Agree.
Agree.
Right? Only reason he wouldn't is if ACL is bothering him, right? But that
or
wouldn't
there was
be
like
the
some
case.
major issue that they handled.
Okay. 2. Duggar doesn't.
I'm just kidding.
Duggar doesn't get traded, but does get cut? Question mark.
Disagree
Soft
with that.
disagree. Soft disagree.
I disagree with that. I just can't see them cutting it.
Yeah, it's tough.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, but I think he'll make it.
We kind of already touched on this, but Chisholm makes the 53.
He's making
Yeah, he makes it.
I'm
Moses.
not as strong as they are, but I think he makes it.
That's crazy. At some point,
They have to keep 6 receivers to do it. I don't think every team does that.
And you think they need it more at other
Am I
positions?
wrong on that? Does
But if
every
Kyle-
team keep 6 receivers?
Nowadays, most teams
Particularly when the
keep
6th
more
can't really
than-
play special teams. He's just he's a I guess a returner option, but he's
Yes.
not really a special team option.
Oh,
He's
well,
too small.
No, he played pretty good in the punt coverage team.
He's too small to do that against
He had a
NFL players.
great rep, though. I am telling you. It was amazing.
God almighty.
That's true. He did
there's
remember
two
that.
things I talked
It was
about.
such a good rep
It was
that
a
it got the
Chisholm-
whole sideline
It was a
erupted.
Chisholm special teams blocking rep.
Everybody had a little
And the
Chisholm that
crowd.
day. It really did.
We were chiz everywhere. It was great.
It is
That's what's gonna
way
happen.
too late. It's too late for this.
That was amazing.
Chiz.
All right, and that's where the show ends. Game's over. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Give me
kidding.
more.
I'm kidding.
Of course, you remember that 11 for 188 in 2014 for Brian Timms in the preseason. You remember that, right?
Of course I do. Yeah.
No, you do?
Yeah.
Oh,
How about the
Paul did
15
research.
How about
He
the
couldn't watch
15 for
Chisholm's
150
catches,
for
but
Chris
he could go back
Harper?
to 2014 to
Here's-
find
Remember that?
stats.
Do you remember
We're
2015?
interrupting.
When Chris Harper had 15 for 150? I mean, that clearly was the start of his illustrious NFL career.
So you went back and looked up stats from like
He has a
5 years
lot,
ago, but you
actually.
won't watch Chisholm's 6 catches.
Which I put in a 1 minute cut up for you.
You did cut
and
it up
sent-
for him?
and sent it to you.
I didn't go back and look at
It
these.
was
You just had them.
I didn't go back and
out of
watch
your-
these. They could have been ridiculously easy catches too. I have no
Why-
idea.
I thought you
Just
still
in all
got it.
seriousness,
Of course, you
why
remember
do you-
Austin Carr's 14 for 153 and 2 tutties
Why do you pull
back in
out all
2017.
these guys?
Because I tried to make a point to you guys that I've seen this guy virtually every preseason. You guys
Okay.
said not like this. You guys both are not like this, and I'm like, okay.
Well, maybe we're teasing you. But in all seriousness, though, like you bring up all these guys, but they're literally, like, in fairness, Paul, they're putting somebody in the Patriots Hall of Fame next month that was this guy. Like, he literally was this guy. Like, he had a moment in
but I
the
think-
Eagles preseason
But
game.
I think you're being
like,
extremely disrespectful to that guy.
No, I'm not.
Like anybody could do it.
No, I'm not
Julian
saying
Edelman was special.
I'm not saying anybody could do it, but he did it. Troy Brown did it. Wes Welker did it. even to an extent, Danny Amendola did it. So like,
I know, but there's literally
it's not a
literally
0% chance.
24 others that couldn't. So I'm going to side with those guys are outliers.
But isn't everybody an outlier that performs at that level, like at any position? So like if it's not like there's not a single person that's ever done it. That's all my point is.
I think when you're talking about like a 5'10"
I love
guy
how we're
with,
talking about a guy who didn't even play in the game.
with limited athleticism, being able to excel like Wes Welker did, that makes an outlier. But like if you're like 6'3" and run a 4.3 40, like that's not an outlier if he ends up being a good player.
No, but like the guy that they are all comparing him to is Amendola. Like Edelman thinks he runs more like Amendola. McDaniels thinks that he runs more like Amendola. And Amendola is not. We're not talking about a guy that is like Wes Welker level production. I just don't know. Like there are guys, there are examples. Like yes, there are examples like you brought up of a million guys that did that.
Look at this,
failed.
F. I'm getting to watch it.
Finally.
Show me the 33-yard play where no one covers him. This is it. There's no one covering him.
It's a great scheme. A great job finding the space in the zone. Come on.
I could have found the space in that zone.
Well,
I wouldn't have gotten 33 yards. Admittedly, they would have caught me before.
If there was never any precedent of a receiver like Afton Chisholm,
that was a good one, Paulie.
Succeeding in the NFL, I'd be with you. But we've literally lived it like multiple times, so it's hard to sit here and say that it's never happened. Or
I didn't say it never happened. I said it's an outlier.
Yeah, you'd be an outlier. Care to dream.
Afton Chisholm, friend of the program.
And if they keep 6 receivers, he's making the team.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I would just say if Kyle Williams is really hurt, though, he might be the 5th receiver right now. You know what I mean? Like if Kyle Williams is out for any period of time, he might be.
But Kyle Williams is making the team.
I know, but I'm just saying but then you're gonna go into week 1 with just 4 receivers. You know what I mean?
Good point, Deuce.
No, well, if he has to start on IR, then that's different.
Yeah. Or he just can't play week 1. He might not be on IR, but
if he can't play week 1, then IR is on the table.
Yeah, totally.
Because now you're talking about a concussion that's keeping him out for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
I don't want to go.
That's one of the worst.
Let's not
parts
put the
of
bad juju into existence.
I really hope Afton Chisholm's the next Wes Welker. Just for the
just for this.
Just for this.
Fred will have an aneurysm.
That would be a great story. That would absolutely be a great story.
It would.
And in full disclosure, I'll be as completely honest and open with you as I possibly could. I didn't think that Wes Welker was it, and I didn't think Julian Edelman was it. So those two guys proved me wrong.
Yeah, I think Edelman. You were there, so I'll defer to you. But I think
it took Edelman a while.
It took Edelman a while, and I think that it probably ultimately will take Chisholm longer than people will want. Like the fans that saw him in the preseason are going to want him to play right away. He's not going to play right away.
But it took Edelman a while. Like that's a little different too. Like he had to adjust from playing quarterback.
Right, and he had to Welker was still here.
No, but don't you think it would take longer for a guy who's never played wide receiver? This guy's been a wide receiver his whole career. I mean, he was a record setter at Eastern Washington.
Right, and I think
it shouldn't take him as long as Edelman.
That's what gives me hope for Chisholm is that like it's translating. Like what he did at Eastern Washington was very prolific, and then now he's coming here.
I
and
guess
it's translating.
maybe if he was doing what he's doing with Drake Maye, I don't think I would be as obstinate. Is that a good word? Obstinate.
Yes.
I'm being a little obstinate.
Yes, that is. You're being obstinate, Paul.
Persnickety.
But hey, it's really making the last 15 minutes a lot.
But thanks to Chris, I've now seen the highlight package.
Well, you somehow only glanced over at the one play you've already seen.
No, I'm just. You know what, Mike? To be honest with you,
he ran on third
I'm
down
not going to
that
be
he just-
overly. I'm not going to be gushing over like the broken tackles and stuff because that's why he's hurt. Like I need the stuff that Evan's talking about. The sort of recognizing how to settle in zones and quick twitch and getting open.
That we can agree on.
If that can happen on a consistent bit, he's not going to make a living breaking 3 tackles to get a first down.
And the guys he's breaking tackles aren't
NFL players.
Yeah, no, that we are in lockstep on.
But if he can do what Evan's talking about and get the quick breaking off the line of scrimmage and immediately uncovering, you can make a living doing that, and that will prove me wrong.
Looking forward to it.
So you guys agree then there?
We agree about the broken
This
tackle.
is how it happens.
The broken tackle thing, I think, is a preseason thing that probably isn't going to translate to regular season.
I'll even say, in terms of that kind of stuff, Travion Henderson is the opposite in my mind of like the Sefton shit. This is a guy with all of the measurables, the athleticism through the roof, right? I don't want to see him running the way he did in the first preseason game, like trucking guys on the side. Get out of bounds.
Right.
Get the first down. Get out of bounds. Don't take unnecessary hits. You're a smaller guy. You're a smaller back who's had some durability issues in college. I'm consistent with this. I don't think you're going to be making a living trucking linebackers in space if you're Travion Henderson. And I think he is ridiculously electric. Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of mindset. It's not because, Paul, you just don't like Efton Chisholm. No, it's nothing to do with that. Chisholm has been as productive as you
laying down the sword.
Chisholm has done everything that they've asked him to do in the summer.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would argue with you on that.
I think that, and I'm really just filibustering at this point on Efton Chisholm because I could talk about Efton Chisholm for another hour.
We got 2.5 more minutes.
Yeah.
We can make it.
But it's just, we agree on the broken tackle. I digress.
We can do like a super quick rapid fire rest of these questions.
Nice.
Moses starts 13 plus games.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say yes, too.
He's been right on that line the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Barring injury.
He plays through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Hunter leads the team in catches this year.
Ooh. I'm going to disagree with
I'm
that.
going to say not this year just because
Demario Douglas leads
more
the team
options.
in catches this year.
Efton.
Yeah.
Michael Chisholm the third.
He leads.
I don't know. It sounded like a good one.
Henderson leads the backs in rush yards this year.
Disagree with
Niet. I'm going to go.
He'll have explosive plays,
Yeah,
but will
maybe
he?
scrimmage yards, but I don't think rushing yards.
Maybe 20 plus. Patriots finished second in the division.
Yes, 100%.
They're going to win the division.
I could see
I'm
them.
going to disagree with that, too.
Okay.
Winning.
Miami or the
They're
Jets?
They're going to be AFC
Both.
champions.
They're gonna win the Super Bowl.
We're going.
Why not?
Hey, if they won this one undefeated in the preseason,
It's still on for the
then we're going to
Giants.
get a billboard in Buffalo
Fred's
that says
perfect
AFC
season's out.
champions because they
Preseason?
celebrate that.
Preseason?
Yeah.
Want to get it up there?
Just like
Fred's perfect season's out.
How Bills Mafia is it to think that they're like owning us by getting a billboard that says AFC East champions?
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pathetic. Patriots average 21.5 points per game this year.
Oh, better.
better.
Better
God,
be better
I hope
than
so.
that.
God,
I
they're better.
hope so,
Like
man.
25 would be great.
Jeez.
I mean, they got Chisholm.
They got
The
Chisholm.
defense
The third.
finishes top 12 in defense.
That's your side of the ball, dude.
Man.
It's up to you.
Yeah, let's go.
You think? Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm going to say
11-12.
disagree.
Did he say in total yards?
Middle of the pack
They
feels
stay
right.
healthy.
Middle
If
of the
they stay
pack feels
healthy,
right.
They stay
Yards.
healthy. I
15.
think they could
Did you
get.
say total yards? Yards is different. Like
No,
yards.
just top 12.
I'm going
I'm
points.
assuming like.
I'm going to say
DVOA.
points.
I think DVOA. Yeah.
DVOA.
I could see
Look
like
at you guys.
15.
It's so cute. You got
Yeah.
your little
Yeah.
acronyms and stuff. Look at you guys.
It's
You're
a better
all-
way to look
We'll
at
explain
it.
coming
Paul.
DVOA
together.
to your people later.
I know what it is. I
I
just
know
don't
you
care
know
about
what
it.
it is.
Shout out
They hate
Aaron
when
Scott.
I use my
DVOA.
eyes to watch.
Finally, the Patriots win 10 plus games.
I
I disagree. I say 8.
9 games.
8's a
That's
sweet
what it
spot
is.
for
Nine's
me.
the number.
I've been feeling 8 lately. 8 and 9.
9.
I feel 8.
9 and 8. That's the number.
Well,
Make it so.
10 would be hard. 5 would be easy, just like Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. For Evan, Deuce, Paul, I'm Claudia. That was fun, guys. And
Sure
guess
got
what?
spicy. I
Preseason's
like it.
over. Real football starts September 7th. Raiders, Patriots, 1 p.m. We will be there pre and post. Thanks for hanging out with us. Go to sleep.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.